Hi folks, welcome to my humble homestead in the forest, and on this glorious fall day in Canada. And today I want to talk to you about the question that's been coming up regarding weed control in your garden, and possibly pathways and such. Um, and the question is this: I should have said that first. Can I use cardboard as a form of weed control? And the answer is yes, followed by no, and followed by maybe. Here's the thing. Have I used it? I have used it, and will I use it again? I prefer not to. How about that? I prefer not to, and I'll tell you why. If I have other options, other options being rocks, fly, mulch. I much prefer mulch. In fact, if you are going to use cardboard, there's probably a good idea to put mulch on top of it. This is like a common practice in Canada. I don't know what it's like in your neck of the woods. Maybe you can let me know, to lay down cardboard and or newspapers to keep the sun from hitting the whatever patch that you're trying to control the weeds, so they don't get too big. So anyway, so I use rocks. I use gravel. I use mulch, which is my favorite, like I said. Leaves, even if you have a thicker pile of it. Something that I think, if you have access to, which I think most people do, we don't necessarily, this is not a pine forest, but pine forests are a bit warmer. Those pine needles are acidic. If you can think of, or if next time you watch a show or something where it's being taking place in a pine forest, you know it's a pine forest when you look around, and this lush green that you see. I mean, this is not a rainforest either, but all the greenery that you see behind me, which I hope you can, is not visible, or you can't see in those movie shots, is because nothing grows there. Nothing grows there. Why? Because the soil is acidic. Soil is acidic is because those pine needles, however size of them they are, they're very acidic, and they do lose their needles year after year after year after year after year. Sometimes it becomes a carpet of, like maybe a foot thick carpet of those pine needles, and nothing grows there. Nothing that's not acid loving on the pH level. So that's obviously that works. You just have to get that from wherever, if you don't have it in where you are, and lay that as a carpet. Bad thing about it, see, that's the thing with everything. Nothing's perfect. There's good and bad. So a bad thing about it is that however thick a carpet that you lay, 1 inch or a foot deep, it becomes really squishy. That can be fuel for fire. It just takes a lightning or a careless smoker or something to set it on fire, and that becomes fuel, and depending how much you have or where it's directed, it could lead to your house and set really everything ablaze. And that's the forest fires that you hear about sometimes. If you've heard of in Canada, 90% of it is because of those areas, like in the western part of Canada, where we have pine forests, and so there's a lot of that dropped needles, which are fuel for fire, in addition to the dead trees and fallen trees and all that stuff. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about cardboard. So if you are, I was saying the reason why I don't use them because for me, it's a hassle. I like everything as much as I can for it to be natural, and cardboard is not natural. And it's not even particularly windy. We don't need that quartz rock. Here's a big piece of cardboard that I have. And if you are going to do it, and like I said, I prefer not to. I'm not telling you what to do, but if you are going to do, if this is all you can afford, you found something and you really hate your so-called weeds, which they're not really even weeds, and you don't want to weed whack them, whatever, this is your last resort and resource. Use the thicker ones. This is fairly thick, twice as thick as this one, and but you have to make sure, though, if you care about your soil, if you care about it being as clean as it can be, organic, natural, whatever, then you have to make sure that you peel off, first of all of labels. Now, I try not to buy anything really from Amazon, but if you do buy from Amazon, that's the kind of cardboard you're thinking of. Well, I will let you, because I've tried to do that, not to lay it down as a barrier on the soil for the weed suppressant, as a weed suppressant, but just to put in the just to put in the recycle bin. I don't want any labels or anything going in the recycle bin, my compost either. Even though I'm not using it, it's just going in the recycle bin and it gets picked up. I still don't want any labels or tapes. I don't know if you can see the tape, your shiny thing. So you want to make sure that your cardboard, you peel off all of these tapes, labels, and whatever. And I will challenge you to see, and you come back and let me know. I will challenge you. There is almost no way you can peel off anything, many things from an Amazon box. It's very hard. It's just all these woven things going through the tape. It's a mess. And so right away, that's a no-no. But if that's where you do your shopping, this isn't an Amazon purchase, but so it can be easier removed. And this is actually old. Not easy, but easier to remove. You remove those, you remove the tape. But in addition to that, though, also you have to make sure that some cardboards, the part that you see, not the part on the inside, the parts that you don't see, or that's folded, just the parts that you see, they could be glossy. I mean, the entire, I'm not talking about the label now like this. I'm talking about the entire surface of the parts you can see is glossy. Actually, here's an example of that right now. You see? All of it is glossy. I'll try to change the angle of the light cardboard so maybe the light can shine off of it. You can see. When it's this glossy, well, you got paint, you got chemicals, you got just like the labels and the tape that you're trying to remove. These are all chemicals. But the boards itself, if you look in the corrugated part in the middle, it's made out of 3 sections. There's the outer part, there's the inner part, and then there's the middle, that wavy corrugated part. Well, how are these 3 layers stuck together? I imagine some kind of glue. What is that glue made of? Something natural? Horses? I don't know. I'm just saying I don't want anything, any sort of chemicals in where I'm planting things that I might be consuming. Walkways, maybe. Parts that you just I don't know, whatever, maybe, but not anyway. Definitely same as those mulches that are colored mulches. Here they come in sort of a red or black tinted mulch. A mulch is like wood chips and that, and that's paint. I've seen people put that in their vegetable gardens. I don't understand. Same for railway ties. That those toxins that can leach out. Anything that can leach out into your soil, you don't want. So anyway, the thicker ones are better if you have to. No labels whatsoever. Not glossy like this one. But really, honestly, nothing short of doing weeding or weed whacking and that, just to make sure that they don't come back, kind of thing, is the more ideal. Also, if you're going to weed whack or pull things, make sure to do it on days so we had a lot of rain last night. The next rainfall is tomorrow night. But after that is 4 or 5 days of no rain. So then do it after the rain, because it's easier, looser to pull out if you're going to, or weed whack it. And then when you damage those so-called weeds that you don't want by having cut them, and then a few days of you've exposed them to, you've wounded them in some way, and then now they're going to lose the moisture. It's an assault. You waged an assault on them, and then they have next few days of no rain, and they're just going to naturally die back, just like anything else that you've disturbed. So cardboard boxes, you let me know what you do. You let me know, actually better than that, you let me know if you know a better way, a more natural way to keep so-called weeds down for others to learn. But that should answer your question about cardboards, whether I use them or which cardboards to use if you're going to in your garden.